Hey, it's Dean with the Two Party Podcast. Just want to it's 9/21/2020. Want to hit a little news update, breakdown, if you will. I guess I'll start off with if you guys are big UFC fans, which I try to find time to watch them as much as I can. I try to keep up with it. But apparently, this past weekend there was the Covington and Tyrone Woodley fight, and apparently Covington won. And so there's been a lot of, I guess, speculation and just some mudslinging going on. So I'm just going to go ahead and read this news article. Now, this is off of Al Jazeera. Just random. I'm just pulling a media post about it. So it says the headline of it is Covington receives call from Trump after UFC win, slams Black Lives Matter. Colby Covington, an outspoken and controversial Trump supporter, wins fifth round TKO over Tyrone Woodley in Las Vegas. Ultimate Fighting champ welterweight Colby Covington was in the middle of the news conference following his victory with Tyrone Woodley when he was interrupted by a phone call that he could not ignore. It was the U.S. president. Donald Trump told Covington he had rushed from his Saturday night rally in Fayetteville, North Carolina to watch the fight. He said, "I'm proud of you. I'm a big fan, and I'm proud of you." Trump told Covington, who was wearing a Keep America Great hat and had supposedly spontaneous had put the supposedly spontaneous call on speakerphone. "You're tough. You have the right spirit. So now go win the next one, and just keep it for a long time. I appreciate the shout out tonight too. I'm your fan. You're my fan. Two of a kind. Two of a kind." So typical rhetoric going on here. And I don't know if this is just a political ploy or it's been twisted into a political ploy, or if it's just Trump being Trump. I mean, this guy's all over the place. It's hard to keep, everybody wants to put a finger on who Trump is, and this guy's all over the place. He's got a good heart. He does what he does. He's call him weird, call him off in left field somewhere, but the guy, he's very good personality. I mean, the guy seems to really genuinely care about certain things going on. So there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, there was just all kinds of talk. I guess basically this was put up as this poor guy Woodley put up as the Black Lives Matter guy, and then this guy Covington put up as like the Trump pro-America patriot fan, So that's kind of how I think this thing was twisted and played out. So after the fight, the guy made some comments. His Covington then dedicated his victory over Woodley to all the first responders, all the military out there. I apologize. I'm a little scattered because I'm kind of reading as I'm going through this. I'm catching other parts of this article. If it says, "Ladies and gentlemen, the silent majority is ready to make some noise," Covington said. "If you thought that was a beating, wait until November 3rd, when Donald Trump gets his hands on Sleepy Joe. That's going to be a landslide." And that was the comments he made. And then it goes on to him dedicating it to the first responders and the military out there. And then before criticizing LeBron James, the NBA's biggest athlete, who is an advocate for Black Lives Matter, it says, "This world would not be a safe place without you guys. You keep us safe, not these woke athletes, man. I'm sick of these woke athletes and these spineless cowards like LeBron James." So this guy just goes just ballistic, kind of calls out everybody he wants to call out. This is where we're at in America, man. You've got your 15 minutes of fame. You win something, you lose something, you get some airtime, and you go right to the media points. Hey, congratulate the guy, okay? He won. He fought a good fight, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud that he supports America. I'm proud he supports Trump. I'm proud that he's patriotic like that. I don't have anything bad to say there. I personally get a little tired of both sides of this political atmosphere that we're living in, and I just feel like there was a better opportunity for him there. He could have said what he said, but there was just a better opportunity there to set an example and put your standards a little bit higher and not feed into the media talking points. And a lot of people, even people I'm good friends with, are going to disagree with my perspective on this. But I do genuinely feel that this moment could have been used to influence or discuss something that would have been way more on base with where we need to be as a nation. He could have brought a little more unity, calling out other athletes, Black Lives Matter. Don't feed into the rhetoric. Don't feed into the media bias. Next thing you know, that's what we're going to end up with, and maybe that's what the world wants these days. But I mean, next thing we're going to end up with frickin', the Black Lives Matter and this Covington guy fight. I mean, if that's what we're dealing with, I don't know. I'm losing interest in. I haven't watched sports and football and stuff like that in so long because I really lost interest in the political side of things. And even before it became really, really political, I kind of walked away from football. And I think maybe 2016, I caught a little bit of a halftime show. I'm just not that big on men in tights. I'm just not that big on staring at my TV. I feel like I have better things. Life is too short, and I have better things to do than focus on a bunch of people running around a field chasing a ball. And that's just me. I know a lot of people are diehard sports fans. I have my love of sports and teams. I just don't follow it like I used to. I don't know. I feel like I grew up. Sorry. But I just wanted to touch on that. I thought that was an interesting headline. I thought that was an interesting story. I'm going to touch base a little bit on our breakdown here before I get into some other stupid politics stuff. In Tasmania, in case you're not aware, there's an issue going on. They're having a mission to rescue 270 stranded whales. So you've got these, there's a video in the area that shows a large group of pilot whales stuck on sandbars trying fruitlessly to free themselves. An estimated 25 whales have already died. So, I guess I'm multifaceted in the way I am as far as, being a Republican and my views and beliefs in the environment and climate and all these things we talk about that are big talking points politically as well as just in our world. I am a huge advocate for marine science and biology. I'm a huge advocate for, whatever we can do to save our oceans, save our wildlife, endangered species. I'm huge on that. And you can bash me all you want. I love to hunt. Don't get me wrong. I love hunting. I love fishing. I love all the things that make the world great and the freedoms that we have and the heritage that we have in doing those things. But I also believe it would be nice to have a solution. And I know there's people out there working to free these whales and get them unstranded from these sandbars. But those are things that are close to my heart. Those are things I support in the world. Just rolling down this, we've got, it says goats and soda, and I don't know what that is, if that's an article or what. It's on NPR. It says tracking the spread of the COVID outbreak, a map of confirmed COVID outbreaks and deaths around the world. The respiratory disease has spread rapidly across 6 continents and killed thousands of people. So we already know that. Trump's TikTok deal, what happened and does it matter? Apparently, President Trump is claiming a victory, is the headline, after blessing a deal in Oracle and Walmart taking stake in TikTok. I'll be honest with you, I have an account for two party podcast. Never used it. Never used the platform. Honestly, don't really care. I know it's popular amongst some of the young people. I think it's neat. I see some of the TikTok videos. I think it's cute and adorable. Some of these people that do what they do and take time to play on those. Great. This deal makes zero. It doesn't do anything to affect me and my community and my family. Okay. So that's kind of where I'm at. If it affects you and your family and your community and this deal somehow lifts you and your family up, kudos to you. But a news headline talking point about a business getting bought out or shares in it, it really, I don't know if that's a victory for Trump or if he's just got his nose in things that there's better things for him to be doing. And that's really where I'm at with it. Federal judge blocks Trump administration's U.S. WeChat ban. So a judge in San Francisco said Trump's order targeting the popular Chinese-owned app has a modest basis in national security and represents a free speech violation for U.S. users. Okay, so what we're finding is more and more the Chinese are amazing people. They don't get me wrong. Not going to knock them. I'd like to knock them, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna stick to the guns here. the Chinese put out a lot of cool stuff. They have a lot of cool apps. Their country works off of basically stealing and utilizing ownership and patent type stuff. They basically, you look at an iPhone, they'll mirror it and cross-reference and reverse engineer and make their own phone. And they do that with everything over there. And just since Trump's been in administration, he's really fought against that. He's kind of got some agreements in place where China's taking some accountability, but China's its own country, and they're trying to be a dominant world leader. And so they're going to listen and play by the book on some things, but they're really not on others. And when it comes to these new apps and social media and stuff, China is in the background of all of it. Okay, whether it be the hardware, the software, the developers, they have very smart, intelligent people there that do a lot of good code, and they do a lot of. They're just mathematicians. It's just been known for years. They're just the Chinese are very smart people. Okay, so that being said, these apps pop up everywhere, and I'm on a few of them because we're heard around the world. We're heard in China. We have a lot of fans in China, an audience in China, Japan, all over, and in Asia. And so I'm familiar with that app. I've never really used it, but I am familiar with it. But there's a lot of different apps that they have and they offer that are becoming more popular. And what it is, there's a trend with this. I guess in the manga world and the what are these other things they do where they dress up, the cosplay. Since kids have been diving into that in the past decade or longer, what you're finding is people are generally embracing their culture. They're embracing some of the drawings, the art, the things that Chinese artists put out, and some of the cartoons and through the cosplay. So what you're finding is people are finding it really cool. The Pokemon and all this different stuff. They find it really unique, these young kids, and some of the drawings and art they get into. And so when they're doing that, they find in that culture that there's a lot of these things they don't have here in America. And a lot of it is these little apps and things that allow them to do certain things. However, because China has totally different governing laws and security over there compared to ours, what we find is that some of the security that they can build these apps, but there's really no safety net. So your kid gets on these and you don't know it. And some of these apps can literally get access to your audio, your microphone, your phone itself, the camera, and it can really expose people and make them vulnerable. And I think that's where some of this lawsuit is going at, this targeting this WeChat ban. So that's kind of where that's at. Photography, I'm not even going to read that one, kind of boring. Coronavirus, we got another one. U.S. to bar downloads of TikTok, WeChat. So that touches on what we just talked about. So there's a lot going on. I suggest you guys keep up with some of this technology news. There's quite a bit going on that's pretty interesting. Protests heard around the world. We've got a lot of protests. How did a police killing in Minneapolis lead people thousands of miles across the ocean to pull down a statue of a slave trader who's been dead for nearly 3 centuries? I'm not going to touch on it. Sorry. If you want to read it, it's on NPR. It's under a section called Code Switch. So needless to say, there's your news breakdown for the world news. Some of our local stuff. Omaha bar owner has died by suicide after he was charged in looting or shooting of a black man. Jake Gardner was on the West Coast when a grand jury indicted him last week for the May killing of James Scurlock in Omaha. Gardner died at his own hand, his lawyer said on Sunday. Excuse me, a little thirsty. Census, there's a lot. I encourage you guys, and I say this every episode, probably you'll keep beating the dead horse. I encourage you guys to keep up with current events and news. But I encourage you, most importantly, to remember all media and all news outlets suck. There's an agenda now, period. No matter what the agenda, whether it's ratings or they're just pushing for political candidates, or they're just their CEO or whoever's running it, their producer has just got some kind of vision. Okay. But read the news, keep up with current events. This really does affect all of us. We are in a day and age right now where everything that's going on in the news really can come home and hit us or sideswipe you, so to speak. So pay attention to the news. Just watch where your outlet is. I mean, I can go to CNN, Fox News right now. I'm reading off NPR, but don't trust the sources, period. Unless, if it literally says op-ed, or it's an op-ed written, and they're not showing proof, like they're talking about a congressional measure or bill, but they're not going to post the bill or a link to the bill. Call BS. Call it absolute BS shenanigans. Because if they're not going to really cite where their source of their info is, then it's just an op-ed. It's somebody's opinion. Don't fall for it. Read the news. Keep up with the news. These fires. Looking at the weather, it says as firefighters battle dozens of blazes in California, Bobcat fire nears 100,000 acres. We got a little. They got a little bit of rain out there, Oregon, Washington. It's kind of helped subside a little bit, but they're far from being in the clear. There's still fires going on in California. Pay attention to the news, please. There's a lot of people in our nation that can really use some help right now, especially with these fires and stuff. And they're not going to get help from local government because we have this election coming up. There's just everybody's so focused on election, and political smears and weaponizing. Just read the news, keep up with the news. Please do that for me. However, don't trust the source unless they're citing their facts, where they're getting their facts from. If you read an article, basic article, the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and then you got a retired Tennessee senator says he supports the court nomination. Then you got the next article is going to say that this guy doesn't support just follow the facts. If there's no basis on it, form your own opinion on that, especially on this Supreme Court thing. I encourage you to really kind of keep up with this. It's gonna be ugly. So anyhow, that's that. I'm not gonna get into too much more of the news on NPR. There was a hacker who hacked over 100 companies. He's been being put on trial or been convicted. I'm not sure. That's it. That's where I'm going with NPR. I'm done with it. Okay, moving right along. So a big headline that nobody's hitting on. There was a assassination attempt on the president of the United States. Nobody in the news wants to report on it. Now they will, but you're not going to see it as a headline. This isn't going to be a big deal for any of these news outlets. So what you've got is a woman accused of, and I'm reading this off of, this appears to be a CBS local news on channel 1121, CBS DFW. I don't even know what state we're in here, but that's where I found the article that I'm reading off of. It's off CBS. Woman accused of sending Ricin letters to White House, also suspected of mailing envelopes to Texas law enforcement. They still have not announced the name of the woman, and I'm still waiting on that. I know she had a court hearing today, I believe today, and so I'm still kind of waiting to catch facts with everyone else. So, but just a breakdown is the woman whose name has not been released was arrested in New York on the Canada-New York border and is expected, to appear in court on Monday. The woman was taken into custody at U.S. Border Customs and Border Protection officers at the Peace Bridge border crossing near Buffalo and is expected to face federal charges, 3 law enforcement officers told the Associated Press. So the letter was addressed to the White House, was intercepted earlier in the week before it reached its destination. Now, just FYI, and I guess I'll just keep reading, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police have said, and it was intercepted at a government facility that screens mail addressed to the White House. So just so note to self, you're an assassin, you're sitting out there being an idiot, and you want to mail something to our president or to the White House. It never makes it to the White House, okay? It goes to a facility that gets scanned, everything gets checked. You're not mailing something to the frickin' president, okay? So, let's get off that one, guys. So anyhow, this idiot decided to mail something to try to kill our president or expose him to ricin. Now, it was tested apparently twice. It has shown positive for ricin. Little note to self, ricin there is no cure for. So ricin poisoning coming from castor beans is deadly. In a few days, it can shut down your kidneys and your liver. There is no cure for it. There is no, the best you can do is get it off your skin and out of your body if you ingested it as fast as you can and pray that you live. So pretty serious that this isn't being reported, and the media doesn't care. We're all anti-Orange Man and anti-Trump, that we don't care that a man's life from somebody from another country has attempted to take out the president of the United States, let alone just a human being in our country. And it's not important. Lives don't matter anymore. Black lives matter. Other lives don't matter. Our president's lives, apparently, from what we're seeing here, it doesn't matter, which is horrible. That's where we're at today. So that's something I wanted to touch base on. Then I wanted to just hit a little bit on this article. Nancy Pelosi, boo. Okay, this lady during an interview with ABC this week, and I think she was with what's that dude's name, George Stephanopoulos. So she's with George Stephanopoulos. During an interview this week, Pelosi was asked whether the Democrats would move to impeach President Trump in an effort to stop the Supreme Court pick. Listen, guys, we've had one impeachment that wasted thousands, millions of dollars. Okay. Here's round two. And we knew it was coming. We just a matter of time and when, and if they got the balls to do it. So she has already announced, and several others have already announced, including Schumer, they are going to do everything in their power to stop this Supreme Court nomination if Trump pushes through, and to stop it in the Senate. How are they going to do that? So Nancy Pelosi's comment is they've got arrows in the quiver. That's her talking point. She sounds like a freaking retard. Pardon my French. And for those of you that word offends, I'm sorry. This is an unfiltered show, and if you don't like it, move on. That is a term I grew up using. It's not derogatory toward disabled people. It is literally just a term we use, just like anything else. It's a word. Get over it. So that being said, she's got arrows in her quiver, but the talking points that come out of this is they will do anything in their power to stop the president. That's what they're saying. Her, Schumer, every Democrat that's against the president. AOC has actually called for a violence or an uprising on the situation. Her and Schumer had this whole little interview press conference. But what they're saying, here's what they're saying. We are going to do anything in our power to stop the president and the Senate from confirming a Supreme Justice before the election. Why? Why? There's no reason why. Just because they're pissed that he might get a conservative leaning judge or somebody that they don't want in that's not left leaning. And so they won't get their way, even if they got into office after November, which I'm starting to really highly believe they're sabotaging themselves on purpose to not get in November. But that's where we're at. So we have our government who accused Trump and Barr of weaponizing the DOJ, which we know was weaponized by Obama against Trump in the 2016 election with the Russia hoax. Now they are openly in press conferences admitting that they are going to use and weaponize the government to stop the president and the Senate from doing their job, which is to place a Supreme Court justice in the seat of Ruth Ginsburg. It's absolute absurdity. Why? Nobody is holding these people accountable, period. At the very first mention that they are going to utilize the government and their position to stop the job of the president, at that point, to me, it becomes on the borderline of treason. And it is for sure misusing power, 100% misuse of power. The very things they accuse Donald Trump of doing daily, they are doing. Pelosi went on this rant, and it was a very weird interview. If you watch it, if you can catch video of it, she goes on this freaking rant, and then at some point he asks her, Stephanopoulos asks her a serious question about, are you going to pull these quivers out and use them, and blah, blah, blah. And of course she's, we're not going to say what we're going to use. But in the middle of the second question he asked her, she just kind of went on this like, good morning, it's Sunday morning, or something weird like that. And it almost makes you wonder about these people may be too old to be sitting in these offices. I'm being honest with you. I can't, between Biden and what we know, and it's pretty obvious there's some dementia or some issues mentally there. The guy's not all there, and it's sad to see it. Now you're watching Pelosi, you ask her a question, and she says, good morning, it's Sunday. Wow. So this is the lady who's going to use her power, and the Democratic Party who's in power, in seats, or in the government is going to use the government and their positions to weaponize our government against a legal decision, something that constitutionally is founded, the president can put someone in that seat. That's his job and the Senate's job to confirm them. And so they are talking about obstructing the job of the president and the job of the Senate. If that's not the most illegal criminal announcement you're going to make against a government of your own government and non-patriotic, I don't know what is. These people have lost their freaking mind. And I hate to be lean left, lean right. I always try to be open-minded and middle ground about my process and thinking about this stuff. But I don't care who you are and on what side of the aisle and how much you can't see through the wall of hate. This is wrong. The announcements they've made are wrong. No party in any situation should ever talk like that and should never be using the government to hinder or obstruct our president from doing his duties, which has been happening for 4 years now. But what you're seeing now, she literally makes mention like the president and his henchmen she's making this wrap up smear she's known for. And that's where she makes a comment about something, then gets the media to push it, and then it basically makes it hard for the public, the actual public, us, to deny it happening. So what she's done is now it's the president and his henchmen have denied that they're going to concede to the election should they lose. That is an absolute bold-faced lie. The president has only said that he will wait to see what happens due to the election fraud. That's the facts, okay? This woman will come up with anything and everything and lie to your face in press conferences publicly. Continues, I think almost everything she posts on her social media and stuff, I look at it, I follow her. I love following opposition to learn what the other side is thinking and doing. So I do follow her. And you can go through some of the statements she makes daily, sometimes 3 and 4 times a day. I post on there, lie, you're lying, when she says stuff like that. The president has never said he would not concede. The president has said that should he lose, we would never have to see him again. He'd move on to other things. That doesn't sound like someone who's not going to concede. That sounds like someone who's like, he understands if he loses, he loses. That's not to say he's not going to dispute if there's some kind of election fraud going on, or an overcount of ballots, or the ballots can't be done until December, and all this other stuff we keep hearing about. I don't blame him. What's fair is fair, and the voters want their voice heard. So if there's some election fraud, I wouldn't step down either until we know for sure that every ballot's been counted and it is safe, secure, and legitimate. But anyhow, wanted to touch on that. Dude, this lady's crazy. The left is losing their mind. They are literally going to use any tool in their power, like Schumer said. And Schumer, what they've announced that Schumer's going to do on his end in the Senate is they're going to use these tactics that slow down or keep them from being able to vote or keep them from confirming daily. So they're going to put some roadblocks daily. They're going to do something each day that prevents the Senate from moving forward. It's obstruction. It is misuse and misappropriation of power. The people that are doing it should be the majority in the Senate should vote these people. They should reprimand them and vote them out while we have the majority. Let's get these people out of these seats now, because now they're actually doing something that can get them removed from their seats, borderline on treason. So that's kind of what I wanted to touch on. I know not very fruitful today on this breakdown. There's other things I'd like to talk about and touch base on. I just haven't hit on them. Those were the ones that were really on my heart today that I really wanted to share with you guys and kind of get you on board with thinking about. We are still Two Party Podcast, number 2, partypodcast.com. That's where you'll find us. You can get us on Instagram, Twitter, you name the account. I think I've got us dialed in on it. So Two Party Podcast, almost anywhere you Google and search for it, or on social media, you'll find us. If you want to touch base or be a guest on the show or promote your business, please do reach out to me. It's twopartypodcast@gmail.com. Thank you. This is Dean signing off. Have a great day.